see what we got cooking. I remember we start now looking at great endgame players.
I was looking. It looks like Lasker's the first one.
Yes, I remember we talked. I kept guessing the ones, right? Remember?
Yeah.
I guessed
Yeah,
all
you
but
did
the
good.
last one. It was Fisher. Oh, thanks, Star Princess, for 100 bits.
Aw, thank you for that,
Till
Star
the end.
Princess. To
Yes.
the bitter end.
The 5 greatest endgame players of all time. So it goes on and on with a long spiel. Let's see. Thought about Petrosian and
Yeah, we should get I Am Silman on the stream.
etc. etc.
I'll reach out to him. I'm sure he's going to say no.
Dang, harsh.
I'll send him all the links. Look, we did your whole book on stream.
Yes, think of how many people bought the book because of that. At least one.
Right.
At least one, come on. I know somebody said that they bought the book, actually.
Oh, yeah, they
I remember.
did. Yeah. Has Ben played him? I don't know.
Silman? That's interesting.
Might
Maybe.
get sued for doing the book.
Seems like no, right? But maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
We gave him credit. We even called it Silman.
The first one's going to be Lasker. I think Capablanca's next. The second, world champion. The Art of Endgame Defense. So I skipped a lot of his prose, but let's listen to what he has to say about Lasker. Dr. Emanuel Lasker, the legendary German world champion, held the title from 1894 to 1921. He had a rather unusual style. His openings were poor, and his middle gameplay, while powerful, didn't have the fluid feel of Rubinstein's. I don't know why he picked Rubinstein of all people. His strength, though, combined to create a player that dwarfed the world's best during his prime years and instilled fear into the hearts of his competitors long after he gave up the crown to Capablanca. These strengths were an untiring fighting spirit, endless optimism, a magnificent tactical vision, unsurpassed defensive skills, and an almost flawless command of the endgame.
Hey, Japanese tutor.
Thanks for gifting that tier 1 sub, Thaddeus.
Yeah, thank you, Thaddeus. Yeah, no, we didn't link the book, per se. What does that even mean?
Right. It's Silman's Endgame course. You can definitely find it on Amazon or just Google it.
Oh, you mean to buy it? Is that what you meant? I thought you meant like there was an online version or something.
That's sort of what I figured.
It could be.
But yeah, the book costs money, so usually it's illegal to just have the book on, without the author's consent and the publisher's consent. But still, some people can do that.
To read it?
Yeah.
So you think we were illegal?
Why were we illegal?
No, that's what I'm asking. So what are you saying is illegal?
To just have the book on, like the PDF of the book.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely illegal.
Yeah.
I think us reading it on stream's fine, though.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be any reason.
Oh, for people to buy. Yeah, that is a good idea, Japanese tutor. I'll have to stick that in Moodbot.
Our first example shows Lasker overwhelming Frank Marshall from a position that the American attacking genius probably expected to draw. And Lasker made it look easy. Let's see how he beat Marshall. And we remember Marshall had that great king and pawn game against Marazzi.
Vaguely.
Yeah, he played knight takes b3, knight takes b3, c4 check, and got into a king and pawn game that looked lost for him but was actually winning.
I can't remember.
I remember.
Well, I'm glad. Yay for you.
Go me. I'm the best. This is Marshall with white against Lasker. I like how it says E.M. Lasker, not just E. Lasker, because there's another Lasker, Edward Lasker.
Oh, yeah.
So it has to be E.M. Lasker.
Mm-hmm. Yay, thanks for that gifted sub.
All right, so here it is. It's black to move. Yeah, I've seen this before. This endgame, for sure.
Do you show these positions as teaching methods as well?
Well, some of the positions that we've looked at, I have shown my students. Like the famous Shirov one, for example. And even this, I think I've shown. This exact position we're looking at now.
All right.
But, yeah, I mean, I didn't, look through this book before that we streamed. So I didn't, go through this book and find positions to show my students. Usually, if I do that, it's because I'm looking through a book on my own, and then I'm like, wow, this is a great example. I should show my students.
Yeah.
But I might, with this book now that I've looked through it, and
Mm-hmm.
find some good examples to show my students. Oh, I don't focus too much on the endgame generally with my students.
All right. So what are we doing here?
All right, Capablanca said, in this position, it is black's move. To a beginner, the position may look like a draw, but the advanced with a D, player will realize immediately that there are great possibilities for black to win. Not only because he has the initiative, but because of white's underdeveloped queenside and the fact that a bishop in such a position is better than a knight. It will take some time for white to bring his rook and knight into the fray, and black can utilize it to obtain an advantage. There are two courses open to him. The most evident, and the one that most players would take, is to advance the pawn to c5 and c4 immediately, in conjunction with the bishop check at a6, and any other move that might be necessary with the black rook. The other, more subtle course was taken by black. Rook b8, b3, rook b5 exclam. The rook is very active on the 5th rank, and can torment white's pawns by moving to a5, c5, e5, or even h5. Yeah. Well, white's king is not really that bad. I mean, it's going to lose a tempo once the bishop does a check, or maybe... So he has to move again, but obviously so does black's king. So I wouldn't really say that white's king is worse than black's. Really, white's problem is this situation here. And he's also got an isolated e-pawn. So that can be a target. But basically, white's problem is he's behind in time. If you developed white's pieces, white would be equal or better. So that's white's main problem here. So here at Lasker, he, instead of pushing the c-pawn like I would have, he brings his rook in along the 5th rank. Interesting way to create some activity. c4. This makes sense because it avoids attacks against c2, and also it closes down the diagonal, which black's bishop might well have made use of. However, the resulting positions turn out to be remarkably difficult for white to deal with. Let's look at some alternatives. Knight d2, rook c5, knight c4, bishop a6 is pretty tough. For example, here, takes, check, here. Well, it looks good for black. Rook's pretty annoying, although white's king got better. Also, another defense could be knight d2, rook c5, c4, but then en passant to give up a pawn that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or knight d2, rook c5, rook knight f3 immediately, like this. So all three of these variations were possible and might well have been better than what was actually played, which was c4 immediately. But they look pretty risky. I mean, black's rook's always really good in these variations.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
I was gonna throw this chest life for kids in the garbage.
But you're on the cover?
Yeah. Still gonna throw it in the
Oh,
garbage. Hey,
Yeah, I saw that. You're the most prominent one.
that's why I noticed it.
Yeah.
Wait, why are you on here?
This is he was hosting with
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember
with what's
that.
the-
Yeah, we did that.
Mike
Oh,
Klein.
that's right.
They threw all the kids out for cheating and
Mhm.
Mike Klein, so I won the tournament. Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. You're on the cover.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I
what's
didn't
this
even
garbage?
notice.
Hey, that's me. I'm garbage. Yes.
Hey, let me hold it for a second.
Yeah.
to
she
show
said.
Yeah, I can show you guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, there he is.
Now, even when you think the stream is over, leave your pants on because
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Oh,
Harsh.
yeah. The Tubin story.
I'll try to keep my pants on.
Did you hear the
Try.
story?
I think you told me it.
I did?
Yeah, I mean, how recent was it?
yesterday.
Yes.
Then no.
Oh.
Oh,
I didn't think I told you.
He thought the call was over with the New Yorker.
Yeah.
There was a work call, so then he took his pants off and so forth,
Ah,
and then he's in trouble.
it was just an accident, though. Come on.
I didn't tell you what the and so forth was.
Oh, okay.
You know
I think I figured it out by
I mean,
now.
it was an accident, though, still.
Yeah, he said it usually he can last 20, 30 minutes as an accident.
Right.
He was he was video chatting with a friend.
I have a really good SNL skit, which they might do if I told them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's him and Nowinski have their own show, and then when the show's over, he takes his pants off because he doesn't know that they're still on. And Nowinski says, "Let me help you with that." They're like, "Oh, we're on the air." That's the skit.
What?
Good skit.
Wait, what does Lewinsky have to
Monica
do?
Lewinsky.
I know
So
she.
she has to help him.
All right.
So he goes for c4, rook h5, king g1, c5. So this is nice that he arranged his pawns on dark squares because he's got a white square bishop. So he's got a protected passed pawn and his pawns on dark squares, and his bishop's better than the knight. He still hasn't developed his pieces. The advantages are mounting for Lasker at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He did play knight d2. My mouse slipped there. Nice. And king f7. Black's plan is now clear. He wants to play bishop g4, dominating the knight, and bring his king to e5. After that, d3 followed by king d4. That is a pretty good looking plan. Rook f1 check. A mistake that forces Black to continue with this plan. He had to try a3 b4, according to Silman.
Marsh says, but the doubled C pawns. Black doesn't have it all.
Right, as usual, low-rated players care too much about pawn structure.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Or Holden for
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
do it now.
Thank you. Yeah, and can you text him and tell him about it?
But yeah.
But it's true that if everything else was like even, that Black's pawn structure would be a problem. But considering Black has all these other advantages, it's going to be overwhelming. Although, what's funny is that he suggested the plan a3 b4, which gets rid of Black's doubled pawns. But you have to play actively. You got to play actively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lose against double pawns all the time. But yeah, the hanging the queen is the problem, right? Absolutely. I mean, it's just very rare that people under 2,000 lose games by positional means only. You know, like usually they're hanging tactics. So, you know, who cares about double pawns? Did you ever lose because you had double pawns, your opponent exploited them, and then you just lost? Like, I don't think that happens. Maybe. Okay, where am I here?
I thought I did. Because it's Sanjay Kumar.
What?
Yeah, in a game against him.
Well, interesting if true.
I'm going to show you the game.
All right.
And then we can report back to the chat tomorrow.
All right, I'll make fun of you after that. King e7. He doesn't want to block his bishop, and he doesn't want to allow rook f8. a3. So then he is getting the idea here. He's starting to figure it out. Yeah, and then rook h6 exclam. A fine move that renews the rook's flexibility on the 6th rank. See, it was really good on the 5th rank, but then he blocked it by playing c5, which is a good move.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's got to go over here. Now he's got all these options on the 6th rank. Really nice. Yeah, I definitely remember this game. I've certainly showed this to my students. h4. It looks like kind of a weird move, but you want to play b4, right? But that's going to lose to rook a6. Rook f3, bishop g4. Rook b3, bishop d1. Rook b1, bishop c2. And then d3. Yeah. Then black will continue with the plan. Or like this, as outlined earlier. Definitely looks pretty good. Well, I mean, one problem is that your pawn is hanging and you're going to have to like passively defend it if you don't want to lose it. Or like if you take here and takes here, that doesn't really help white. So that's like pretty crushing. So h4. So he was a little slow on the queen side and black had enough time to control everything. That's why you should have played a3, b4 earlier. Still rook a6. Probing the weakness on a3. If he can force white to play a4, he'll never have to worry about white playing b4. So he's trying to provoke a4. He'll move his rook away, like hitting this. And then when you defend that, he'll play a5. And then you'll be stuck on the queen side with white. And I'll have a protected pass pawn the rest of the game. So he goes for rook a1. Horribly passive move. But you gotta do what you gotta do. A nice picture. Black's king is better than white's. His rook is far superior. And his bishop is dominating the knight. Agreed. Just totally working him here. a4. Knight f3 doesn't help. Takes here. Threatening rook f6 check, which would win the e-pawn. And so you're going to lose a pawn now. You either let me play this, or you defend your pawn and lose your a-pawn. So he goes a4 for this reason. But it's terrible that he played rook a1 and a4. He didn't want to play both, right? But what are you going to do? King e5, king g2, back to f6. White's completely helpless. Rook e1, d3, f1. Then here comes the king. We talked about this plan already. Black's plan is a major success. I'm sure Marshall was wondering how he'd allowed such a horrible position to occur. No, that's wrong. He knew, maybe here he thought he was doing well or he was okay. But then around like here and such, even when he plays c4, he knows that he's in trouble. Certainly, he knows he's in trouble. He probably already figured it out around here, because c4 is a weird move. You don't give the guy protected pass pawn, unless you're like every variation's bad. So I'm sure he already knew he was in big trouble like 10 moves ago. Rook f6, gf, king f2, c6, a5, a6. Oh, we got a donation. Is it 100 bits? $100.
$100.
That's like, how many thousand? 10,000 bits.
What?
$100. Thanks,
Thank
Spartacus.
you, Spartacus.
It's not even
It's not Jacksepticeye.
Unless it is a secret account.
In hiding, is it again?
Right. That would be funny if it was.
Thank you,
Wow,
Spartacus.
$100.
We don't ever get $100.
Well, except that one time.
Well, I don't even remember seeing you here.
Nice.
So thank you, and I hope that you
Spartacus.
keep coming back.
There he is. Oh, actually, was just watching his video. How funny is that? Dang, I wish more people would watch his video and then donate.
Yay. Thank you, Spartacus.
Nice.
Yay.
Nice. Yeah, you're the man, Spartacus.
I hope that you come back again and again. We have a nice stream here, even though we don't have hundreds of viewers.
Well,
It is
sometimes.
a nice stream. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Spartacus. Appreciate it.
So now white is in zugzwang. That's why he played c6, a6. White can't move any pawns, and if he moves his knight like he did, well, moving the king would allow the king into e3. So he moved his knight, which also allows this.
Yay, Spartacus.
Dang.
I can't think about anything but Spartacus.
I bet his name's Gus. Just a guess. Just a Gus.
Yeah, it might be.
Taking his time with f5, not allowing white any counterplay. White's helpless, so why not make everything perfect before beginning the final phase? Has to go here. Let's go collect. Here comes the f-pawn. Now this is getting close to resignable. But he still has a little bit of work to do. So this move's a good move because now if he plays king e3 or king g3, he gets checked back.
Andrew, he says, not Gus.
Dang. I thought just because it was Spartacus. That's why. So if he moves his king up, he's going to get checked. So he goes c5 exclam, and it's zugzwang again. Now if you move your knight away, I'm not going to get checked. Like you move your knight over here, for example, or whatever. I'll go here and mate you. So he has to move his king. Or he didn't. Right. If he moves his king, you push the pawns.
Oh, that's
You move the
right.
king here, push the other pawn. So you can't move the king and you can't move the knight. So he played the only other legal move. But, okay, that's a lot of passed pawns now. Don't you think? It's quite a lot of passed pawns. Knight c4. Now he doesn't have knight check, so we can go here. And it's over. Resigns. This game was from a 15-game match that they played in New York. Though Marshall was considered to be one of the world's best players in 1907, Lasker mercilessly routed him, 8 wins to none. Dang, that is pretty merciless. Can you imagine today, like if it's 2 Super GMs and it's 8 wins and 7 draws? That would be like disgusting. That would not happen.
No.
It would have to be like Magnus against somebody under 2650. Maybe even under 2600. Yeah, or even further under. Like if you're 2550, you could probably get a win or more draws, less losses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe not. I don't know how tough it is to play Magnus. I've never done it. But anyways, so Lasker crushed the guy in this game and in the match. But this is a really nice example. Like I said, I've showed this to my students even.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Classic.
Though he excelled in all kinds of endgames, as we've just seen, his ability to save poor or even lost positions has never been equaled through the span of chess history. Damn, Kramnik might have something to say about that. But, well, that's just Kramnik for you. Let's see this bad position that he apparently doesn't lose.
Wait, who are these players?
Still Lasker.
Oh, it's still Lasker.
Yeah, it's always going to be
And-
Lasker.
and-
We're studying Lasker's games now.
And who's the opponent?
Some guy.
Oh, it doesn't say.
It does, but I don't know who he is.
Who are the ones that we're looking at again? Remember Fisher was the last one.
I don't know, Capablanca,
Capablanca.
Smyslov, maybe.
Oh, yes, Mislaw.
Rubinstein, probably.
Yeah, it was Rubinstein. He was the second one. I couldn't remember. So that's all of them.
Yeah. I didn't expect Fisher. I mean, Fisher is just good at everything, so it's not like he was an endgame specialist. But he was very good in the endgame, of course. Alright, so here we go. Just make sure this is correct, because there's a lot of pieces on the board here.
Mm-hmm.
White to move. Lasker has white. And this is from 1925. So Lasker is no spring chicken at this point in his chess career. Alright. Legal moves only. Well, this looks terrible for white at first blush. I mean, that's horrible. That's weak. This is great. Equal material, though. Alright, let's see what it says. Lasker's position is completely lost. Let's see what Rubinstein had to say. White's light square bishop is stalemated. His pawn structure hopelessly weak. His other pieces, with the exception of his dark square bishop, have little or no freedom. In such a position, Lasker's concept of chess as a struggle has valuable practical applications. Lasker makes the win as difficult as possible for his opponent, and he seizes upon any slight chance which his opponent may regard as unimportant. Alright, rook takes e8, check, exclam.
Mm-hmm.
An important move that cuts down on black's options, since now he must take back with the bishop. Rook e8 would lose his b-pawn.
Right.
If immediately bishop b1 would have allowed bishop h5 exclam. Turn the page here. g4, fg. So, first of all, like, the b pawn is hanging,
Mm-hmm.
right? But so is the d pawn. So the point of bishop h5, I believe, is that after here we can take this attacking your rook. So if you take this attacking my rook, I don't have to move my rook. I can take your rook.
Right. Okay. I see that.
So white plays g4, trying to not have to move here, so that if you take, you're not attacking my rook. And it's the tactical point is this. Now that our pawn is not hanging, however, we can take with the rook. Knight g3, so that once you move your bishop, I can win back my pawn. So white didn't have to play rook c1 in this variation because of the tactics over here with g4, knight g3. But black didn't have to play bishop takes on e8 because the pawn's not hanging. He could play rook takes. So now black's dominating the e-file, and you can't challenge him.
True. Can you go back 2 moves? Let's see. So wait, what was the point of knight g3? I mean, obviously.
Well, if you play pawn takes, he'll take back. So knight g3 attacks the bishop, so he can play pawn takes and not.
Oh, I see.
They can't take back.
Okay.
Knight b6 attacking the pawn, a5, knight a4. This pawn's dead, and so is white's position. It's going to be too strong. This is good. RIP. So playing rook takes e8 check first is the correct move. You have to take with the bishop so you don't lose your b pawn. Now he goes back, and knight e5. Yeah. So the entombed bishop on b1 makes it seem that the position should still be won. It's understandable that black didn't want to let white's pieces into the game if, for example, bishop b2, knight e3, bishop g6, protecting the pawn, take it, rook e8, knight d5. Although here, if bishop d4 would leave white in a terrible position anyway. But white did get active with these pieces at least. So this is what black was avoiding, although this is totally winning. So instead of picking up the pawn, he just played knight e5. Knight g3. Attacking the pawn. And now black did make a mistake. Bishop g6, question mark. Bogulyabov says that black wins with bishop d7, rook d2, knight f7, a5, this pawn's kind of weak, you know, rook e8, knight e2, kicking that bishop, bishop f6, with the idea to play bishop d8 and take a5. Bogulyabov says this wins. Well, this does favor black, because everything favors black. Black's position's great. White can answer this bishop f6 with d4, which looks like a great move. Obviously a good move. And white's getting some activity. His bishop's better. His rook's going to be good, because it's going to be an open file. And his knight might have the square, like if you take. And this pawn is weak. I mean, white's position's improved significantly from what we just looked at. Instead of all this delicacy on black's part, black should just cash in by taking the b-pawn. Exclam. Knight f5, bishop a4 leads to complicated play, which is what black was trying to avoid. But knight h6 check, king h8 is hopeless for white. Yeah, I mean, the b-pawn's too good. If you take, I take check, which is kind of nice. So you don't have time for this. Even if you did, I wouldn't care too much about trading that stuff. I wouldn't love it, but, you know. Or, also, by the way, instead of knight h6, knight d6 is possible. Rook f8. Still, it's complicated, but black should be winning and ultimately will win with good play. But black, in the game, he plays bishop g6. He's becoming a little lazy. He doesn't want to calculate these complicated variations and win the game. He wants to just hold white together. You can't get your bishop out. You can't move your knight. Like it looks like you got nothing going on. And I'll take b2 when everything's just right. That's his plan. And that is a good idea. But Lasker's pretty wily. He's like the coyote. Rook d2, protecting it. Rook b4, dubious. Oh, Market Sands with another classic burn.
I saw it. I ignored his roasting again. Lasker owns stock in Acme? Oh, because of Wily King.
Yes. So, rook d2. Rook b4 is dubious, and probably black's not even better anymore. Knight f7 would still be an advantage for black, guarding both the pawns, and allowing the dark square bishop to retreat in case it gets attacked. It can retreat along the diagonal. So instead, after rook b4, knight e2, the bishop cannot retreat. And his point was, I'm just going to take it, which is a bad move as well. He should play bishop f2 with a complicated position now. But he wanted a free pawn, because, give him that free pawn.
Well, no, what's wrong with taking the pawn?
Let's see.
Okay.
That's what happened. Takes. But now a good move from Lasker to get some counterplay. What's it going to be? How's it going, Scottish Demon Goat?
Hey, Scottish Demon Goat.
I've had this book since Christmas and didn't realize this was in the back of it. Yeah, this is the last part of the last chapter.
You could go c5.
Exclam. Even more explosive than c4. Trying to deflect the pawn. Here's some This is called counterplay. That's what that is. Very good move. And definitely black is underestimating this when he went for rook b4 takes a4. Or he just missed it, but that's probably less likely. Rook a1, question mark. Like a wounded animal, I would guess that black couldn't understand what was happening to him. After the move played, white actually emerges with the superior game. Instead of this, he could have played bishop h5, threatening rook a1, because now you took away rook d1.
Like a wounded animal.
But rook f2 to go to f1 is fine for white. In case of rook a1, rook f1. Black's last chance to keep some pressure would be bishop e8, exclam. Pretty weird move to do when the guy just played c5. Takes, knight f7, rook d1. Now if rook a1, bishop c2, exclam, saves the day. So bishop b5, that's the point of bishop e8, to go around, swinging around town. And this keeps rook a1 in reserve. Like now, if we play rook a1 next, and you play bishop c2, and I take, I can maybe take this. Even still, it seems like white is pretty happy with the turn of events the last few moves. It's got a passed pawn, and it's equal material. 2 bishops, even though it's the worst bishop possible, pretty much. But, I don't know, yeah, I would like black here, I guess, yeah. I would still take black. The bishop's just too bad. And this pawn is not very dangerous when my knight and king can stop it. But this pawn is obviously giving it counterplay, of course. So rook a1 question mark. C takes d, threatening the knight. Knight d7, saving the knight and blockading. And now rook d1 is possible. Threatening bishop c2, which would get us out of our jam. Trying to jam you up over here. Bishop f7. And rook e1 was played. There are some options here. Possible was bishop takes h6. But this lets black gain a tempo for queenside counterplay with a5 and a4. One fun possibility is bishop g5. Which I'll admit I don't particularly understand why you would play that. a3. B takes a. So the point is to play bishop h4, protecting the rook. Then we can try to move our bishop.
Oh, I see.
Although, well, that's in case of b2. Yeah, so if b2, bishop h4 is strong, right? And then we can move our bishop. So rook a3. Rook e7, knight f8. Very long variation here. It goes on and on, like not even halfway done. Here, threatening bishop e7. Bishop e6. Okay. So this move actually threatened here. Obviously, I didn't notice that. This move would be resignable. So you have to play this. Now, sure, you can go win the knight, but your bishop's also hanging.
Mm-hmm.
So after bishop e6, bishop h6, same idea as bishop e7. Like this. Okay, tough position here to understand. Materially, white's doing fine, but if any of this stuff gets lost, he's going to lose probably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Maybe not. Like, maybe you could go here and give up the pawn and it's a draw. Yeah, I think if anybody's trying to win, it's white. Right? If anybody's trying to win, it's white. If d7 here, it'll be a draw. With perpetual check. Yeah. Or if here, queen e2 check. Will be a perpetual check. So you could try rook f6, queen d3, d7, queen b5. Again, going for the perpetual check. And yeah, in fact, he just says to queen and give perpetual check. So bishop h6, this looks like a computer variation to me, if I was to guess, because of some moves like, for example, rook e1, bishop g5 to h4. It's like unlikely that that's normal. And then it's just all sharp tactics here. Has to play bishop e6. Gives up the bishop to queen the pawn and make a queen. And white draws by perpetual check, basically. Combining the threats of promoting, so white can't just sit around and do nothing with perpetual check. Yeah.
There's some chatter here. Is that bishop on b1 still there? bg5, that's the most fun you can have.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm like that, pet serious.
Yeah, I would say that's a common tendency to want to just give no counterplay. And if possible, that's the best way to play. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to put the pressure on, and if you're trying to stop counterplay, it lets your opponent build their position back up. So chess is all about balance. It really is. And it's hard to balance, like when you're winning, what to do exactly in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where black went wrong. Rook e1. Oh, Lasker's choice, which is this move, forces black to deal with some straightforward threats. Not an easy thing for black to face since his confidence was likely smashed to jelly by this time. Rook e1 is also safe because white can always force a draw. Interesting, if true. Knight c5 blunder. Black is actually going to be losing after this. He had to play knight f8, attacking the bishop on b1 still. Rook e1's the best move. And then this is best play, and it's a draw. Instead of knight c5. Bishop e5 exclam. Interesting move there. If he played, what do you play, rook a4? Yeah, rook a4 is what he did. If we take the bishop, because that's probably what we'd want to do, bishop takes here, attacking the knight. And the idea is that we're trying to push our pawn, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Knight e6, d7, knight d8, check, black can resign. The d pawn's going to be too strong. Rook a4, rook c7.
Is that a girl?
Are you a girl?
Is that what they're asking?
Yeah, probably. I don't think the guy with the beard is going to be a girl. I think he means when you promote a pawn, it's a girl.
What?
Yeah, the queens are female.
Oh, is that what they mean?
I don't know, maybe. Just guessing.
It's about a girl.
Right.
Hey, working class hero.
Nice. I could be the bearded lady, that's true. Rook b4. Check. Check. Rook e8. Lasker's technique is brutal. Yes. Bishop f4 exclam. Not settling for rook takes, which is what I would totally do this, by the way. Now you're up a queen for a rook, but your bishop is still dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to stay dead because this is protected. And you can't... Well, you could try to take this, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, this is winning for sure, but he can do even better with bishop f4 exclam. Because now he's threatening rook takes followed by queening, where you don't get to take his other bishop because he moved it.
Yeah.
And how are you going to stop him from doing what he did? Or from queening, for taking and queening. You're not. You can't stop him from taking and queening. So this is a brilliant move. It just saves a piece, basically. It's like, I'll do this next. You can't stop me anyway. And you won't be able to take my bishop. So he took the bishop this way. Which is, might as well resign, I guess, right? Because how could you possibly play this position? He played one more move. I like it. I won't hang my rook, and now I'll resign. Black must have been emotionally devastated after this loss. Agreed. I would be. Let's see if anybody else is talking nonsense. Spencer's non-binary. That's not exactly true. That Shirov bishop b3, bishop h3. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, that's why that's his most famous one. Who would have thought bishop h3 would be right? Who could even remember what square it was? All right, let's look at this last example of Lasker's.
All right.
Our final example sees our hero walking on the precipice of defeat. To save this game, he creates a problem-like draw over... This is a super famous one, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Over the board that had never been seen before. Yeah, this is an extremely famous example.
Yay.
I was wondering if we were going to see this, because this is what you think of when you think of Lasker's endgame play.
How would you motivate new students to care about these variations provided in books? I'm new at fancy book learning. I mean, I think you have to play enough games that you're recognizing patterns, which I think most people here are past that point. I mean, a brand new learner wouldn't find it interesting, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, if you buy a book and then you're reading it, why wouldn't you go over the variations?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're too lazy. That's got to be it. So it's up to you to not be lazy.
Well, it is more time consuming for a low-rated player to set it all up, you know. So everything's a little bit more tedious. So it's easier when you do it.
Well, yeah, but I was there working it out as a weak player when I was reading books. And now I'm not.
Yeah.
Come on, let's give white a rook already. No rook. Just this position. Lasker against Lasker. You're supposed to say which color was Lasker. Emmanuel Lasker has white.
Against the other Lasker?
Edward Lasker, that's right. This is from 1924, New York. Visually, white seems to be doing well. His two connected pass pawns seem very dangerous. The reality of the situation, though, is quite different. White's kingside pawns are far slower than one might suppose due to the rook's defensive powers, while a5 will create a passed pawn for black, which the knight will have serious trouble dealing with. The immediate threat is check, where in order to defend the knight, you'd have to go here, and then I'll pin it and win it. So white moves it to safety. This keeps the king close to the kingside pawns, However, the published analysis of king c3 does not seem particularly compelling. Edward Lasker said he was going to play a5. And here. Here the point is that if you take it, you get forked. Still trying to get the fork. So this was Edward Lasker's variation. This analysis contains a couple of flaws. For example, instead of g5 here, as was Edward Lasker's analysis, knight c2 is preventing b4. I don't see how black can win. However, even still, if he played g5, check, check, white should avoid king b2 blunder and instead play king c3. I'm not sure black can force a win here, says Silman. Well, the problem is if your rook moves away from the fork, we'll take the pawn and you'll never win. Or if your rook goes behind the pawn, I can stop you from queening in a couple of ways, like king b2 or knight d1 or knight c4. So, okay, maybe this doesn't lose. But the way Lasker plays with king e4 also shouldn't lose. In My Great Predecessors Part 1, Kasparov or Plisetsky simply says, if king c3 here, rook d6 exclam is unpleasant. The position after, that's what they say. Here, Silman says the position after g5, king d7, f5, king e8 exclam is a very interesting one. To say this is an unpleasant position is a bit funny since the whole endgame is unpleasant for white. That's true. The real question is, can black win by force? The idea of rook d6 was clear. It allows white to advance his pawns so that they become vulnerable to attack by the king and rook. To make matters worse, knight moves will allow black to target b4 by rook c6 check to c4. So the knight's preventing that now, but if you move your knight away, you're not going to be able to do that. So because of that, the d file cannot be crossed by white ever. Like, you can't play knight c2 to d4 and then run your king over. It's impossible, because if you play here, I'll check and go here, according to Silman. One illustration of the problems white faces is knight g4. If, for example, king c2, rook d4, king c3, rook f4, yeah, so this is the problem. You can't move your knight or your king, and if you move your pawns, you're going to let my king sneak in to one of those two squares and just pick them up, potentially. So knight g4, king f8, knight e3, rook d8.
It's a little bit hot in here.
White is in the mini zugzwang since the knight move allows rook c8 check followed by rook c4, while a king moves allows the rook to d4. Nevertheless, can even these facts guarantee a victory? Here's one important line. Knight g2, check, king d4, allowing him in, but we're trying to get our thing going too.
Mm-hmm.
Knight f4, and I don't believe black can win, says Silman. For example, rook b1, knight e6 check, king g8, f6, rook g1, king f5, b4, g6, check, king e5, b3, f7, like this. Looks like it could win, huh? But knight d2, okay. Yeah, so you don't want knight c3 because you want to play king to c3, obviously, and then king b3 if you need to. White successfully stops the pawns. But true analysis of the position after rook d6 could still be discovered. You'd have to spend, a long time to figure this out. But this section of the book is entitled Endgames for Pure Pleasure, Not the Pain of Drowning in Chess Variations. Do you want me to turn it down?
Yeah, it's
I was a little warm, too.
Yeah, maybe just like 1 degree or something.
Well, it's on 77, so I'll make it 72.
Yeah.
What are people saying? 2 side-by-side pawns are so strong. That's true. The monarch on c3 dominates the spheres of battle, subjugating the dark side to a lowly draw.
It does sound like Silman.
All right, so anyways, king e4 was played instead of king c3, which probably draws, but who knows. a5 exclam. With white's king away from the queen side, the passed b-pawn that this move creates will cost white a high price to stop. a6 exclam. Forcing black to deal with the a-pawn, and thus gaining enough time to set up his upcoming defensive scheme. Alekhine correctly points out that g5, b3, knight c4, king c5, knight b2, rook d2, check, king c4, check, king c3 wins for black. b-pawn does look pretty good. Yeah, Alekhine had really accurate analysis, I noticed, for somebody who didn't live in a computer era.
Mm-hmm.
It's most likely his variations are correct of all, like, the old masters.
Remind me of what time period he's from?
30s. 30s mostly. 40s maybe. A little 20s? I don't know. Probably some 20s. Yeah, I mean, certainly 20s, right? 20s and 30s and a little 40s.
Did we miss our raid? We had like 60-something, and all of a sudden it's 90-something.
We're just great. You're always like, how come we have so many people? That's you.
Well, no.
Thanks for the subscription, Lukey Pookie. Nice.
Thank you, Looky Pookie. Well, no, sometimes it's, if it goes up too quickly, then you have to wonder, like, if we're on Chess TV or something.
And it makes me wonder. Zeppelin. Ferdinand von Zeppelin. All right, a6. Now, king c5 exclam. Great play by the other Lasker as well. If b3, knight c4, see, king c5 stops knight c4. b3 does not, because you can play it. King b5, knight b2 takes. King e3, king e3. Oh, to stop rook d2. King b5 to b4 to c3. Yeah, the pawns are strong, huh?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Exclam, knight b2. Costing black another tempo to move the king out of the way. Equal. Yeah, you can queen and trade and queen, and it'll obviously be a draw.
Mm-hmm.
So, the point of king c5, as Lasker played, is to prevent knight c4, obviously. Good move, good try. a7 exclam. Good stuff so far. b3.
Yeah, this is the most wholesome channel.
You mean in this position, king g3 is hard to find? I don't know why that's necessarily even forced. I would imagine king g5 should also draw. I don't think you need to play king g3. Maybe. No, right? I was thinking here maybe it's like this or something. And king g3, you would just play king g2 here. But even still, I feel like I could play f6 maybe and draw. I don't know, maybe king g3 is the only move. Hard to say. Anyways, king c5 stopping, knight c4 is a good try. a7 exclam. b3 interesting. It's not clear if this allows a draw or not. Perhaps the Fritz suggestion is old book. Rook a8. mentioned in My Great Predecessors Part 1, is the way to go. The whole endgame is so complicated that many of the positions have yet to be analyzed to their definitive conclusion. Yeah. So rook a8 could win. b3 certainly does not win, according to how the game went. Knight d1. So can't take it because it's queen. So then he plays rook a8. Takes. Rook d7. My Great Predecessors Part 1 once again bows to the computer analysis, which suggests that king d6 wins. They mention king f5, king e7, and show that things look grim for white. However, instead of king e7, he didn't give the variation, but it certainly wins for white, I guess. Wait. King f5, this is right. King d6, king f5. Okay, instead of king f5 for white, king d4, exclam, rook c7, g7 exclam. It has to take. Here, this will set up the same defensive formation that we'll see in the game. Therefore not winning, as we'll see. So rook d7 is not a mistake, even though Kasparov said it was, or whoever wrote that book for Kasparov. Here, king f3 exclam. White is saved by a centralized king. The point is to control g2, of course, so if you take, I can push, and you can't play rook g2.
Oh, yeah.
So rook d8.
I wouldn't have known that, of course.
Yeah, king f3 is exclam in that position. King d4 exclam, similar to the variation we just looked at, actually. Rushing to the queen side so the king can deal with the black pawns, but sacrificing his own remaining pawn to do so. And then rook against knight's a draw. Black must hold on to his b-pawn, obviously. Edward Lasker, in his classic book Chess for Fun and Chess for Blood, wrote, "This is the move I had calculated would win me the game after all. The other contestants also believed I had now a fairly easily won game, as white could not capture my pawn. I remember I left the room at this stage to stretch a little, and was congratulated upon my victory by Bogulyabov and others who were in the press room and told me that the story of the game was ready to be released. However, when I returned to the table, a rude shock awaited me. The only other move considering in this position, by the way, is rook b8. Shirashevsky, from his excellent book Endgame Strategy, gave the following explanation as to why the game is drawn. After rook b8, black again loses his pawn. King c3, king f5, knight d3, rook b6. Now king b2 is bad because of king e4 hitting the knight. But if white coolly waits around with knight b2, knight a4, knight b2, black has no possibilities of winning. As soon as the black king reaches e1, with the white king at c3, and the knight at b2, there immediately would follow knight a4, king d1, king b2. Forcing the win of the pawn with knight c5 takes b3. So rook g3, knight a4, king f5 takes. So black has a rook and a pawn for a knight, but it's actually a draw, surprisingly. One problem is that he can't move his king up because then he'd lose his pawn.
Oh, yes, it blocks it.
Knight b2 exclam. Just looking at the chat. So Edward Lasker says, I was certainly surprised when I saw this move. Examining the position carefully, I soon realized that I had no way of driving white's king away, and I could not cross the 6th rank without exposing my pawn to capture. The first thing I did was rush back to the press room and tell the reporters that they should kill their story. I was afraid that they might have already released it, for everyone had been telling them I had an easy win. Then I returned for another analysis of the position. If I could reach d2 with the king by playing him behind the rook, I could still win, and I made a last attempt.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to try to go all the way around, like that.
Oh, I see. Hey, 2 bishops, Vattels. Thank you. Hey, Sandy. Chest for blood. I'm your huckleberry.
King a3 exclam. This foils my plan. After king e2, king b2, the king can't approach, and white will again just collect the pawn with knight c5. King e4. So he just goes back. It's important to stop him from approaching with the king as well. So you don't want to play king b2 and let my king get over here. King d4. Rook h3. And he finally just gave it up. Draw agreed. This game took over 13 hours to complete.
Wow. That's a long game. Why, thank you, Pam.
Nice.
Hey, Bishop Takes. Hey, Weird Gus.
Oh, greetings from Oregon. Oregon Trail.
Yeah, hopefully all those fires have calmed down out there.
Seemed like more. Yeah, more than 13 hours. Yes. Yeah, I mean, imagine you're like winning the whole game and then somehow your opponent magically draws after 13 hours. Probably not the happiest day of Edward Lasker's life.
Furious.
And then everybody's saying congratulations already for winning the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's difficult.
So what do you think? Do we have time to start another great player?
Hey,
or...
Petrogen. Well, let's see what time it is.
5:30. Exactly.
24. I think we have time because I want to
We
go.
could at least start it.
Yeah, we'll start it because we need to get it going and get it done.
Well, according to this book, Edward is spelled Edward, not with the U, with the W. 2 U's. Monka S is what you type when you have no sense of humor and can't think of a creative joke. That's what it is, working class.
No, that's not true.
It is true. She's wrong.
I endorse your Monka S.
Monka S.
I like Monka, there we go, guys.
Very funny stuff. So funny. My sides, they're splitting.
Monkey.
All right, so let's talk about Rubinstein.
My favorite's Weird Champ. That's my favorite.
That is a good one.
Anytime I see Ben on one of the official broadcasts, Chess 24, I always have to Weird Champ him.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't expect that to be the end of your story there.
Yeah.
But, well, to each their own, I guess. Akiba Rubinstein, uncrowned king. That's true that Rubinstein was probably the strongest player for a minute in the world, but he never became world champion, in part because of World War I, I guess it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it must be World War I, but it might have been World War II. I don't know. No, it should be one. Let's read about him. The great Polish Grandmaster Akiba Rubinstein is the only player on this list that wasn't a world champion. Though one of the world's 4 or 5 strongest players from 1907 to 1922, his results from 1907 to 1911 demonstrated that he was second only to Lasker, and his total domination in 1912, 4 first-place prizes in 4 powerful events, led some to believe, then and now, that he was Lasker's superior at the time. A match between the two was finally arranged for October 1914, but the advent of World War I prevented what would have been an amazing battle between 2 chess titans. See, I knew what I was talking about almost.
Yeah.
I knew it was one of the words. What made Rubinstein great was his tremendous opening preparation, balanced positional skills that allowed him to squeeze, attack, outmaneuver, or push you off the board at will, and an unsurpassed mastery of rook endgames. In particular, his credo of "do not hurry" served him very well in the endgame, as we'll soon see. Our first example is against no less an opponent than Emanuel Lasker.
Cool.
I got to keep it going with Lasker, huh?
And if anybody's interested, Ben is doing a class tonight. I can't pronounce the name.
Jinja-Hashvili.
Jinja-Hashvili. It will eventually appear on our YouTube channel, but you're also welcome to join the class at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Thank you, Kangaroo. There's a little link to register. This is a sponsored lecture, so we're grateful for those.
All right, so white to move here. Rubinstein's white against Lasker. A pawn up. A pawn up, Rubinstein's first order of business is in tying his opponent down to the weakness on a7. So first move is just too obvious. Rook a5. This is a great move. It protects and attacks. Rook a6. A very important idea that the student can use in many rook endgame situations. Absolutely. This is perfect scenario, right? The rook hits the pawn, so your rook can't move. And your king can't even attack my rook because your rook's in the way. So in order to arrange that, you'd have to move your rook and then go all the way around. Well, you don't have to play king b8, but you have to go all the way around town. It's going to be quite cumbersome of a maneuver to employ at this point. The black's rook is passive, and it stops the enemy king from any active undertaking. Yes. So he goes king f8. It just doesn't do that. Here comes the e-pawn. Having rendered his opponent helpless, white now makes use of his extra e-pawn and also begins to annex kingside space. Ultimately, his advance of kingside pawns will, he hopes, create an entry square on g6 or f6 for the white king.
Hey, Intelligent, you finished a long assignment? That's cool.
h6. So black weakens the g6 square. So Rubinstein's happy to see that. However, king f7, king f5, king e7, g5, king f7, e5, king e7, g6, h6, rook e6 check is also winning for white. Here's some analysis by Lisitsyn. King d7. Rook f6, obviously. King e8. If gf, g7, ef, and resigns. King e8. Rook f7, exclam. Takes. White wins because he'll stalemate the black king with the king here, the pawn there, and the king there. But then black will move the g-pawn and then we'll take it and queen before he can queen, obviously, frankly. Okay, so instead of king d7, king d8, or king f8, rather. Now if you do this trick, my king is stopping your pawns. So rook f6 is not going to work like it did in the last variation. Rook d6. The idea here is to check and go there and take that. King e7, rook a6. Rook b7, king d7, rook f6 still wins. Rook b7, rook c6, followed by rook g8, wins the pawn and the game. But can I defend better? No, because if you go here to stop this, you already know it's rook f6. So that's the problem. We can't keep him out of the first rank. Right? We can't keep him out. So he'll win our g-pawn and the game. So this is all just proving that black can't sit back and forth and do nothing. White wins by force. So Lasker did this, halting the kingside pawns. That was his idea. But the problem is that it weakens g6, of course. So he's going to try to penetrate. Here, king f7. You can't let him go to g6, of course. e5. Notice how the e-pawn protects the white kings from checks. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Little cat and mouse, right? Also, I noticed this in that Rubinstein took advantage of this in his day. The threefold repetition was maybe even not existent. Like in 1907, 1910, 1911, that time period. I don't think they had threefold repetition.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I've seen a lot of Rubinstein game where he repeats the position like 30 times.
Huh.
He's repeating and repeating and repeating. And he doesn't care at all.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know when that came into...
I promise you that it at least wasn't the same rule. Maybe it didn't even exist. But it might have been like 5-fold repetition or 10-fold repetition,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it was. But it was not 3-fold repetition for in the entirety of his career. Because I've seen a lot of Rubinstein's games, and he's repeated the positions a lot. And he's winning. It's not like he's okay with the draw.
Right.
He's winning, and he's like dicking them around. That's what you do. So he really took advantage of that rule that didn't exist then. Okay, rook back to d6, king f8, rook c6, here, and after a3, a shocking move by Lasker, resigns. Yeah, right? At this point, Silman enjoys saying to his students, and here, upon seeing the crushing move a3, black resigns. The look on their uncomprehending faces is always priceless. I was like, you. Like, what? But this move actually is important. After king f8, king g6, you can't play rook b4 anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
He says B does not take h3. What does that mean?
I think he's talking about the Shirov game again, right?
Oh.
I don't know. But that's obviously not related. We don't have any bishops.
I know.
Right?
I was just trying to figure it out. Amish Giri. Oh, Anish Giri must.
I can't believe it took you that long to figure out what he meant. Come on.
I thought for a minute he might be saying an Amish girl.
Oh,
okay.
that's fair.
So then I'm like, oh wait, that's Giri. And
Oh, he is still on Shirov. See, I knew it. Yeah, that Shirov example, they're talking about it days later.
Is that exciting?
Well, I guess.
All right, sorry.
So he resigned because he can't play rook b4 in this position. Let's see, what else does it say? Yeah, and black can't actually avoid material loss here. This check wins material.
Right, yeah.
And if you go here to stop it, I'll eventually play rook c7. If I play rook c7 now, you'll check me, and that even could win because I can go there. But I could also just play e6 first.
Mm-hmm.
And with your rook here, and if you keep your rook on the back row, I'll play rook c7 next. Oh, you could maybe play rook e8, so... Well, it's a little early to resign, but it's obvious that Rubinstein's going to win when he plays a3, because he understands that he wants to play king g6, and he stopped rook b4. So if a strong player plays a3, the other strong player's like, uh-oh, he sees what to do, obviously, so I can just resign. So that's fair enough. Yeah.
Your bird was around when you had the same Shirov game up, and I couldn't chat much.
What does he mean by bird?
I don't know.
That's like on Always Sunny when he's talking about how, or Max telling Dennis, he's like, yeah, you in 2003, that Dennis was beefcake, but this Dennis, whatever year it was then, that no good, your face quit, your body quit, your bird quit. And then he's like, Dennis goes, my bird, what are you talking about? My bird. Too funny. Oh, I love put a bird on it. That's from Portlandia.
Bird means woman. Oh, you're woman. Okay.
That's true. Yeah. Like a chick, you know?
Oh, okay, I got
Yeah.
it. That makes sense. A British term. All right.
Let's, you want to
like
do the
that.
next example?
Put a bird on it.
Yeah. Bird Up is good also from another TV show.
Bird is the word.
Eric Andre. Yeah,
All
a
right.
lot of great bird jokes.
Yeah, let's do another one. And then I think we can be almost done.
All right. This will be our next example of Rubinstein's work Endgame mastery shows the great Pole making use of his main cat and mouse credo. Take your time. No counterplay allowed.
It seemed like you guys were about to argue for a minute, and then it looked like it resolved on its own. So, good job, guys. Or maybe you weren't really arguing. You see no link for the lecture? Well, we'll email it to you. One of us will email it to you,
The
Mark
Zoom
and
link,
Sands.
yeah.
Yeah, the Zoom
I'll email
link.
it to you after I'm done with this.
Yeah, when the stream's over, we'll go
I'll
ahead
email
and
everybody.
catch up on that.
Yeah, baby on board, something, bird ward. That's true. From the B sharps. All right, so black to move in this position. 11 fish has white.
Okay?
Against, a grandmaster
I
appeared.
wanted to tell you when I drove to drop off our ballots.
Yeah,
You know, it's our neighborhoods, I figured. No Trump, and the
Mhm.
cards.
right.
No Trump signs, 5 Biden signs, and 2 Ossoff signs.
Mm.
In our neighborhood. And I was like, wait, what?
I'm not that
With all
surprised.
these rich
In our
people.
neighborhood? Across the street, we have Black Lives Matter in the yard,
It's
too.
a middle
And
class
then
neighborhood.
my mom's out of the ICU. She's in a regular room. I can call her.
Oh,
Nice.
I'm afraid to
good.
call her because she'll probably be like, you know, our rubble, you know, like the hamburger. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I like the hamburger.
Yeah, but he talks like robber.
I prefer the hamburger robber.
What?
Hamburger robber.
Whose turn is it?
Or don't, yeah, so that's my
Why didn't
question.
they
Black
agree to
to
a draw?
play.
Don't
Because it's
give us
Rubinstein.
the answer.
Against
Okay.
Ruben Fine?
Wait, who's white?
11 fish.
Yeah, he puts the fish in Levinfish.
Wait, who's this?
Levinfish was a good
Levinfish.
player.
Is
I could do
Black-
him.
That's white.
I mean, I'm sorry I
You
can't.
know, I could do him. I could do him as a forgotten player.
11 fish?
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he has that variation.
Karen's never heard of him.
That variation in, what is it, the dragon? Is
If
11
I was
fish?
black, I would be drawing some arrows here for the king.
All right.
There'd be some
Like
arrow
that?
drawing.
Whose turn is it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Black
that's-
to move.
Okay, I'm too much.
Why are you yelling at me? I'm just
Right
saying
now,
what you asked
name the
me.
2 famous Rubinsteins. One's in chess and one's what?
The pianist.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of them's Artur, isn't
That's
it?
right. That's the
That's
piano.
pianist.
And this
Yeah.
is a kiba.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
You'd think the one with key would be the pianist, but
Nice.
it never works out that way.
That's my mom's favorite pianist, Archer, because he plays Chopin a lot. And she says he plays it so quiet you can't hear him.
Good. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Last example. Spencer, could you defeat this stream intruder? There was another Rubinstein, composer. I think he was a composer and performer.
Yeah, and he died in his 90s, I think. I think he went to old school.
Probably should have referenced him more as a composer.
Confusing the audience, I met Rubinstein's son, the chess player. He was also a
Okay.
chess player, but he was like 1900.
Mm.
But he was
Not
really
bad.
old, even though he was the son.
Yeah.
He was really old.
Soon I'll be an old son.
Yeah, he was really old.
All right, so when we're done, we'll help you set up for the class. We're almost done. Now, black to play and win?
Black to move.
To move,
That's
that's
all
it.
it says.
That's the only-
I mean, I wouldn't imagine black wins by force
Well-
here, right?
I'm just asking. I'm not good enough to know.
Why can't you use your thoughts?
I use my thoughts.
Use the thoughts. Actually, this looks pretty tough for white because this is just so weak. I can do this, and if rooks get traded, I can also penetrate on the second rank.
Mm.
So this is going to be tough. Black has excellent winning chances thanks to the road along the A2 G8 diagonal. That will take black's king straight to the weak b pawn. By mixing an attack against b2 with threats against the white king, black will be using the principle of 2 weaknesses in an instructive fashion. King d5. Check. King c5. Didn't expect that. One would have thought that black would just go king c4, right? That's what I thought. But check, check, rook g1, c5. Check, king b1, rook e4. So he had time to defend his pawn. Check, king e3, check. Wins the b pawn.
Wow, the king's on B1 since I started looking at my phone. That's exciting.
Yeah. But he didn't play king c4.
Yeah, too good?
Well, hold on a minute.
Didn't you meet Edward Lasker? They're asking.
I didn't meet him, but I saw him.
Edward, okay.
He was also very old.
Mm-hmm.
Rook d2 is the defense.
Exclam.
Rook b e8. King g5 exclam.
I don't think anybody's playing that move.
Well, obviously Rubinstein saw it,
Yeah,
except for one thing.
yeah.
There. King g6 exclam. So he's not letting him set up a mating pattern. That's the idea. He's getting his king too close, I guess. Rook h1. Rook f g8. Rook h2.
Obviously.
When a rook exchange that would win for black is not possible.
Why isn't this just an easy win? Like, double on the G file, rook A1, rook G1, rook A2, rook B1, rook B2.
I was thinking that should win.
Yeah. No, because defend him.
Oh, right, you gotta go there.
Yeah, but probably your
there.
C pawn's weak. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll
Seems
go
like
there.
I would win anyway because your king's on H7.
Right.
It seems like I should win anyway.
Well, the computer says it's not winning.
Yeah, I say it's winning. Shows you what I think of the computer.
Yeah. Although, if we go back a bit, black can answer rook d2 with rook h f8 check when white doesn't have to have the time to set up the formation that Fritz found and that we just saw.
Mm-hmm.
King g5, rook f3, king g6, rook g8 check, king h7, rook f g3, rook h1, rook 3 g7 to force the king off, and then rook g2, and wins. Yes. He didn't get to set up here. So, the fact of the matter is, king c4 does win. But Rubinstein played king c5. It's a better practical decision, according to Silman, and here's why. He has 4 reasons. 1, he's not in a big hurry. He can play this later. Okay. Why leave c6 undefended? You could just move to b3 after c6 is securely defended. Why add to the number of calculations you have to make by giving white a rook check on d4? Now you don't have to calculate anything. In some lines where black's rook powers its way to the 7th rank, black's king will have an option to move back to b6. I think he meant white's rook goes to the 7th rank. That's a typo in the book, I believe. In some lines where white's rook goes to the 7th rank, black can play king b6.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
I don't know. I mean, king c4 wins, king c5 wins, is the moral of the story.
And tell people to join the class tonight.
Oh, we mentioned that several times.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
Kangaroo even changed
And
it.
tell them they don't even have to show up just to pay.
That's true.
Yeah, we don't want them to feel like pressure to show up.
Mm-hmm. All right, paying is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Paying it forward.
Yeah, they Kangaroo even changed the class
saw it.
description on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to analyze this game with Komsky tonight.
Yay.
And then when I told him I did, he said my other game with Komsky. That's a true story.
Yeah, he's playing
Kangaroo's playing
Skomsky all
Komsky
the
last
time.
friends,
Mhm.
and he drew Komsky.
Well, Komsky has a lot of streams.
He drew Komsky.
What?
Yeah,
Did Komsky say he was cheating?
probably.
All right. I was watching Komsky today. He said everybody cheated.
Oh, you're,
yeah.
you're
He
coming.
was right, too.
Yeah.
You're coming to the class meet, Pex?
Nice.
Yay.
Awesome. All right. King G3.
Oh, you're out, Sandy? I'm sorry. We just want to I agree it's pretty advanced. We're going to be done with it soon, though, another couple lectures. Then we're back to some middle of the road stuff.
I think my mom might
So
show
come
up
back.
because she's out of the ICU.
Yeah.
Check. This will lead to a Zugzwang if this happened. Check. Now, okay, first of all, trading rooks is bad for white.
Yeah.
So that's just the first of all. Check. Now, you can't go here because you'll lose your rook. So you'll have to move your king upwards.
So just looking at that position, how would you, like,
I would play King C4.
why would you
instead
say
of
that
Rook
was
F2 check.
trading was bad? Like,
For white?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting crushed.
Yeah, I mean, because you let my rook in on
Yeah,
the
okay,
second
that's what I
rank.
was thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
unprotected. The king's survived.
Trading both rooks, now you're talking. Then white would be happy. But
Okay.
one rook is going to be tough, yeah. So that would lose, I guess. Also, he gives a variation like this, like we looked at, but it doesn't work, and it's a stupid defense anyway. So he goes king g3. Rook b7, threatening mate in 2.
Man, that's hard to stop.
Right, he found a way.
I know, but it's not easy to stop.
King h2 to go to g1.
Yeah, the class is online. It's not physically at the chess club. We're not doing classes quite yet.
But in this way, black forces the rook trade, because he's going to get mated if he didn't. King f3. You can't really go for the king and pawn endgame. And resigns. So king f3. Why is white playing on? Says Silman. This would also be pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, both pretty bad. Here, there. There are other ways to win, but this is the most humiliating.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Here. What's
That
funny
was-
is you can't, like, even move your pawn. There's this, and en passant,
Yeah,
if it's
and then,
check.
and then Rook G1 is going to be, Zugzwang at the end of this.
Rook g1. Keeping white in a box, and forcing him to move his king, and allow black's king to c4.
C4 is forced.
c4.
Also losing to everything.
Check, resigns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, game over for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Great play from Rubinstein, where in this position, if it was like two 1600s playing, they would draw it without thinking.
Also, they both resign.
They'd both make bad moves and then draw.
Yeah.
But
And then they agreed to draw when one of them was winning.
right. Yes, absolutely. But Rubinstein just played super precisely. He combined attacking here with mating the king, so much so that it forced him to trade one set of rooks and win the game. So this position's even a forced win for black.
That's pretty complicated.
Yeah. Well, Rubinstein was no joke.
Yeah, obviously.